In each episode, we're gonna recap. It's Sailing All Blue with Xander and Matt. Sailing All Blue with Xander and Matt.
Welcome to Sailing on Blue, the podcast where we are setting sail into the world of One Piece. My name is Xander, and here with me is Digimon Master Matt.
Hello.
Matt, how's it going today?
Oh, it's going pretty well today. You know, it's still 2020, the year we're recording this. But it's nice to have something to read to sail away into a different world for once.
Do you actually feel like you're sailing into a different world? Are you making my day?
It's definitely something different. So
best I can get.
I think when we go into thoughts on these chapters, we'll maybe you'll be happier, maybe you won't be.
Oh, we'll find out. I'm really excited.
We'll find out.
Matt, tell us what we're talking about today. Exactly with the world of One Piece.
So for those of you unfamiliar with the podcast, I've never read One Piece before. I've read like everything else, but I haven't read One Piece. I've gotten a couple episodes into the anime a couple times, and that's about it. So Xander here, after having lost a bet to him, has forced me to read all of One Piece, and we're documenting it. If you go back and listen to the previous episodes, we've gone through Luffy getting some of his crew. We've got Zolo, because I'm reading the Viz Online manga, and that's what it is in there, and Nami. And they have now, and for these chapters, we're doing the first half of Usopp's arc, which is chapter 22 to 31. So generally, the format for this is we're going to recap the reading as best we can from memory. We're going to highlight certain scenes and then kind of give, review, reactions, thoughts on this. And this is the first time that we are ending an episode in the middle of an arc.
That's true. The first Syrup Village.
How is there that much more to this arc? Does this fight really go on for that many chapters?
We'll get to it. Stay tuned.
We'll get to that.
Stay tuned.
Because since I don't actually know what happens, we'll just speculate. Except you know what happens, so you'll just tell me I'm wrong.
No, I'll just be like, we'll see.
So chapter 22 starts off with Nami fixing the hat that got cut up by Buggy, and we still have that deep gradient shading. It's like Cotton Eye Joe here. Where does it come from and where does it go? They find out they're hungry, so they find a deserted. They're hungry, so they find a deserted island. And there's like weird animals, like there's a snake with rabbit ears. Like is the One Piece world some kind of like Avatar thing where animals are hybrids, like the lion pig and all that?
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, they get creative.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to follow the laws of nature.
This is before Avatar. Avatar stole it from One Piece.
I mean, I guess. I'll buy that for now. So I guess in the One Piece world, animals are usually hybrids or something.
Yeah.
We've got this Guardian of the Forest thing, which is some fat dude in a box, with a gun, and that's, I guess, like that's as good as a Guardian of the Forest as you can get on a discount. All I could think of though was like step 1, cut a hole in the box.
Do you not even know Gaimon's name?
I know it's Gaimon, but I also don't really care about him.
He's the most important character in this series, Matt.
So I won't lie. I actually thought when I first saw the anime, I actually thought this was a filler episode.
Don't worry, a lot of people did.
It was actually surprised when reading the manga, and this was the first chapter for this assignment, that this was an actual chapter. I was actually surprised because I had always thought that was some weird filler thing.
No, it gives key information.
No, it actually is key information because they explain that they're going to the Grand Line, and he's like, the Grand Line, that's bonkers. And they're like, no, we got this map like 10 chapters ago that we're finally going to show. Tsunami unfurls the map and gives the explanation that the world is 2 oceans, and everyone is aware of this. and that there is
four oceans.
They say 2 oceans.
No, they're separated by the Grand Line and the Red Line. There's 4. East Blue, South Blue.
They say 2.
Do they say 2? Man,
they say 2.
It's wrong. I hate it. Cancel the show.
I'm sure the East and the West Blue or whatever are like, it's like the South Pacific versus the North Pacific or whatever. It's still the Pacific Ocean. So the Red Line is this like big strip of land, and perpendicular to it on like some equator thing is the Grand Line, and it's some big shipping route. And apparently there weird stuff happens there, like some Courage the Cowardly Dog opening, like, but weird stuff happens on the Grand Line.
Eustace back.
Yeah.
I'm going to sidetrack. I was literally talking about Courage the Cowardly Dog earlier today.
It's a good show.
So you mentioning this fucking is 1, weird, and 2, so good.
It's one of those things where like after you learn a word for the first time, it's like you always hear it again in the next 24 hours. Somehow, it's like one of those type of things.
It's just one of those things. Anytime someone talks about courage, within a day, you'll hear courage again, and then never for 15 years.
Yep. So yeah, the reason everyone thinks One Piece is along the Grand Line is because Gold Roger is the only man to ever rule it. We get the sad backstory of Gaimon, man in a box, and we once again get this whole can't part with my treasures, this weird hubris thing. And turns out there are all these treasure chests at the top of a cliff that he can't climb because he's in a box. And it turns out that all the treasure chests are empty, which is sad. It's just very sad for him. So they all decide to leave him there because he's like, I guess I can still be guardian of the forest. But this time, instead of for the treasure chests, I'll do it for the animals. Because it turns out there's poachers. But there's something funny going on here where it's like Gold Roger is the only man to have left his treasure, besides Shanks, who left his hat with Luffy. So there's kind of a theme going on of like the one successful guy is the one guy who actually parted with his treasure.
Yeah, whatever that treasure might be, which I don't even know what that is yet. I'm so excited to find out.
The One Piece was the money that Jump made along the way.
Oh, that's a treasure worth having.
It's a lot of money. So then we get chapter 23, Dread Captain Usopp. Nami has correctly ascertained that they need more crew in a boat, so they're landing on another island. Meanwhile, Usopp, a village youth who cries wolf a lot and seems insufferable, is running around yelling the pirates are coming. And for some reason in this chapter, the shading is less present. So again, like this like super deep shading technique, I'm going to call it like Cotton Eye Joe shading. Where does it come from and where does it go?
I think it's how it's released in the actual weekly Shonen Jump. Like if it has like if it's like the first thing in the book, right? The first story. I think it has better pages to print on. So they're like, oh, let's make the first few pages like really, cool looking and shit. Put some extra effort into it. Because you're in the front, right? You need to make a splash right off the bat. Grab that attention.
I guess.
That's why a lot of the color stuff is in the middle, right? The people who get the colored pages are in the middle because those are the shows that people are like, oh, I want to fucking see this shit colored. And, they get into the middle of the book. Because you can't just read it in the store. You got to buy it before you read it. They're like wrapped in plastic and shit.
This is a very interesting thing where like if that is really the reason, it's just but how much effort Shonen Jump is pushing One Piece at the time as to how much goes into the art budget is kind of interesting.
There.
I will say something is that Usopp's nose in the manga, like in the anime, it looks all weird, and like a lot of stills I've seen, it's looked all weird. But actually drawn in the manga, it looks way more natural.
Right, it does. It looks very good.
So Usopp confronts the crew as they land, and he is a bad liar. He is like a compulsive liar, and he is bad at it. but you know what? Everyone decides it's all good, and we're gonna go eat. So they all go to the inn to eat, and Usopp tells them this about how he wants to get that booty, and that booty could get them a ship. The booty, of course, being Mistress Kaya. Mistress Kaya, who is attended by her uptight butler, Klahadore, in a tale as old as time. She is a tragic, bedridden
I think it's just
teenage
Klahadore.
heiress.
By the way.
Klahadore?
Yeah.
Okay.
The E is silent.
The E is... Well, you know it's not silent? Those shoes, man. He's got those, like, zebra shoes, and those cannot be butler regulation.
They are. You see him? He's clearly a butler, the best butler.
He's always like adjusting his glasses weird, and he has like that weird the ice cream insignia on his. I mean, at least I hope it's ice cream. Otherwise, it's poop. Otherwise, it's like poop emoji on his jacket. And he's got these like zebra slippers.
Bells. Maybe. I don't know what they actually are.
It looks like either ice cream or poop emoji.
Yeah, it does. It does look like that, but I wonder what they are now. Now, come to think of it, I really want, because it's not a question I really considered outside. Look, that looks like poo, and then that's it. I just dropped it from there.
Well, even though she looks to be completely healthy and normal, it's take your medicine, you bedridden girl. This isn't suspicious at all. And there is a sheep man. There is a no explanation sheep man. Usopp visits Mistress Kaya on his quest for that booty, but Luffy, tired of waiting, shows up and just demands a ship. Clawdor basically runs them all off and puts Usopp in his place, calling him the abandoned son of a filthy pirate. Keeps adjusting his glasses constantly, like every other frame.
Yeah, for you listeners, how Clawdor is adjusting his glasses, so if it's like the palm of his hand, his fingers are like off to the side and lifting it up, like using essentially his palm wrist to adjust his glasses rather than just doing the cool anime thing of using two fingers and sliding it back up through the center. He's like
palm striking them up.
Yeah.
It's Kaya with that Oda mouth tells them all to cut it out. And then Usopp punches the butler and says, "The only thing I'll never lie about is that my dad is a pirate," because he's proud of that. And the chapter ends on a cliffhanger with Luffy going, "Oh yeah, I remember." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, we're going to get some backstory next chapter." Start at chapter 25. They don't address that at all. They all just leave the estate. Clawdor gives like some backstory with Kaya about how he's so thankful to her family for helping him after he was marooned on this island. And then Django the hypnotist shows up. He's a man who is super swag and has heart-shaped glasses, and he doesn't appear to be a very good hypnotist at first. But
he does like a moonwalk.
Yeah, he does like a moonwalk, and then he like the kids and Nami ask him to demonstrate that he is actually a hypnotist, and he puts himself to sleep. And
Django's great.
He's just like walking around all loud. So then halfway through the chapter, we cut back to Luffy and Usopp sitting on a cliff, and Luffy reveals that he knows Yasopp, Usopp's dad, and he's a part of Shanks' crew. And Usopp, huzzah! And then Usopp reveals that it turns out Shanks is actually super famous, which Luffy didn't really know. Luffy was just like, "Yeah, it's Shanks." And Usopp's like, No, you mean like that red-haired Shanks. Super fearsome red-haired Shanks. Okay, sweet. My dad is with a really good pirate crew." And we get the flashback to Yasopp being an expert marksman. So that'll definitely be relevant later. But then they look down from the cliff and they see that Clawdor and Django are openly discussing Operation Murder Miss Kaya, which, why would you call it that?
Hey, that's what the operation is. I mean, you can't just be like, Operation. It's not. I can't even think of anything clever. Just murder Miss Kaya. It makes it. Have you met Django? Have you met him?
Yeah, he is not very good at his job, whatever his job is, which is apparently to be acting captain of the what was it, the Black Cat Pirates?
Yes. Yeah.
It's something like that. That Claudor is actually the infamous Captain Kuro, and that all of this has been an elaborate ruse to steal Kaya's family's money. And I don't understand why they don't just, if they are capable of rolling into the village and murdering everyone, why are they not just capable of just murdering them and stealing the money? I don't they reveal this whole plan that before they accident her, there's a whole correction that they need to talk about accidenting her. Django is going to hypnotize her to leave everything to Claudor and her will, and then the pirates will then attack and kill everyone, and with Claudor as the only survivor, he will inherit all her money, but just take the money after you kill her. I think he just wanted to be a butler for 3 years. I think he was just tired.
No, there's a reason. We get to it later. Just wait. It all makes sense. It all makes perfect sense why you want to go this clearly non-criminal route of obtaining money through a will.
All right, I will have to see that, because as of where I am, I still do not understand.
It makes perfect sense.
Enough with the cat puns, please. Please, no. The cat, there are so many cat puns. All of the Black Cat crew it just keeps going further and further down the cat pun hole. And yeah, so Luffy jumps out and he lets them know that he and Usopp won't let them get away with that. And Django reveals he's actually a really good hypnotist. He was just pretending before, and he hypnotizes Luffy to sleep. And Luffy falls off the cliff, but he's made of rubber so he doesn't die, but they all think he's dead. And for some reason, instead of, for how deadly these guys are supposed to be, they just leave them there and go, no one will believe Usopp even if he tells them.
Yeah.
And in typical fashion, Usopp tells everyone, and no one believes him. In fact, Kaya gets very angry with him, and has this whole, I never want to see you again. I can't believe you.
Claudor's so great.
He's the best.
He would never.
Usopp reveals his slingshot skills as he uses them to escape Kaya's guards and try to once again reason with her. But then her pimp hand is strong and she just straight slaps him. And I gotta say, the art on the slap, her arm, go back and look at that. It's chapter 27.
No, I'm looking at it. I'm following along.
Her arm looks super weird.
Yeah, it looks a little awkward, yeah.
Yeah. I noted that it looks super weird.
It doesn't have it doesn't look like it has any real force, or that there should have been a real slap. But Usopp's face in the following panel, on the next page, is indented. Ooh.
It's some weird spaghetti arm thing going on. She's made of rubber. I don't know. Oh, it's chapter 27.
Everyone's rubber.
Yeah, everyone's rubber and you're glue. Then the next chapter, the shading is back, but where did it go? I guess once again they were pushing One Piece or something, because the shading's back. But it's just back for this chapter. It's gone the next chapter. And Kaya has the sheep man give Claudor new glasses so that they don't keep falling down, and he stomps his zebra shoes on them and cuts up the sheep man. He doesn't kill them, although the guy is we come back to him later and he is just still bleeding out. He just lays there bleeding out for a day.
Yeah, he's whenever I first read this, I'm oh shit, he dead. Because the panel is him on the floor.
Yeah.
And his blood is just splattered all below him. He dead.
We're gonna digress here a bit, is that there's a pretty big time jump from when that happens, because that happens at night, and then it's the next morning Kaya finds him. There's all these guards in the mansion. Did no one find him?
Their job is to stand outside.
Was there no suspicion?
They're not allowed in the house.
There's just no one else in the house besides Sheepman and Claudor. he's just there for a while.
Yeah, it's also like in their room, like he's in the room. Like, why would they enter like someone's room without knocking? And if no one answers, like they're like, oh, they're probably not there. Also, it's like middle of the night. Who's gonna like open a bedroom door in the middle of the night? That's creepy. The smashing of glasses and the screaming of no, nah, that's normal. That happens every night.
Oh yeah, kinky. Yeah, Usopp goes, oh yeah, here's the beach where where these pirates will definitely make their landing, and they spend like the whole chapter going into this elaborate like traps that they're setting up, and then they're like, wait, there's another beach though. I guess the pirates are going to that one. Oh no, and they run off. Except that somehow Nami and Usopp show up first, and they go, wait, where's Luffy? Oh, he got lost on the way.
Yeah, and Zoro got slipped on. Yeah.
Nami stepped on Zolo while they were going through their own traps that they'd set. So Zolo is trapped in the traps. Usopp is almost hypnotized by Django, but Nami, having seen Django in town do his whole like self-hypnosis thing, being the smart one, she shields them from the hypnosis. And yeah. So then they throw out some caltrops, so there's like 1d4 damage right there, but pirates have a little more health than that. And they go in there, they start beating Usopp with like a hammer, and he's just like bloody as all get out. And Navi gets pushed against a wall, so she's just roughed up, but Usopp is like, it's just like someone put a bucket of blood over his head. And while they're getting served, there's pirates running past them, but they are sent flying back by Zolo and Luffy, who've made it. And so Kuro, who's been at the house the whole time, goes, you know what, this is taking too long, and heads to the beach to meet them. Django then hypnotizes his men into a berserker state, but this hits Luffy too, so Gum Gum Gatling gun, and he like punches them all, and then he breaks the cat maidenhead from the pirate ship and starts smashing up the mooks. And the cat maidenhead has this like sweat thing on it as Luffy's swinging it, which is kind of like an interesting touch.
Yeah, it's really cute.
It's pretty cute and funny. So Django, realizing that he has messed up, undoes the hypnosis and puts all of them back to sleep instead. But the cat brother guards, the Meowbin brothers, were on the ship, so they are not hypnotized, and they're ready to pounce. Then it cuts back to Kaya, who has decided to get out of bed because she's wondering where everyone is. I guess she hasn't gotten her breakfast yet. She discovers the sheep dude clinging to life, who names that Claudore was the one who did it to him. So she puts on a coat and starts heading to the beach after him. And then the Meowbin brothers fight Zolo, and they somehow steal his swords and the explanation is because they're cat burglars, that they're able to just steal his swords off his body. And that in the middle of that fight is where our assignment ended.
Yeah.
So we've got Zolo versus the Meowbin brothers, Captain Kuro on his way. That's where this has ended. I didn't think that the fight was going to be this long. It's lasted a fair number of chapters, and if the arc length is,
we haven't even gotten into the actual fight.
So is the Kuro fight like an actual like long fight?
It's not like a long fight.
Yeah, so I didn't get this far in the dub, and I barely got past this when I watched the sub, so I don't really have a good idea of this, of like the conclusion of this arc, or really like the next arc with Sanji. So, and that kind of ends what my knowledge is of One Piece going in, besides that certain characters like Tony Chopper. like that certain random characters like exist, or certain things.
Yeah, because it's hard to not know about, especially certain events, if you watch or are part of any form of anime community or like see that shit, right? Like,
yeah,
there's small spoilers you've had.
Like that there's a place called Skypiea with a lightning dude, or that
it's great.
Or that the Grand Line has like a time skip in it somewhere. Like I understand like that stuff there. So
3D2Y. You won't know what that means till later.
nope, I have no idea what that is.
So beautiful. So good.
So I guess going back to the whole, I guess there's not really a lot of scenes that we really wanted to highlight that we didn't cover. I guess unless there's something that you feel needs to be highlighted.
I do want to point out that the cool butler's name, the one that almost got murdered, that has a very sheep aesthetic, his name is Mary. I want to make sure that's clear because it comes into play later.
Okay, that's a mystery tool that we'll use later.
Yeah.
Oh, is this where the going Mary comes from and why that had like a sheep masthead?
Yes.
Okay.
You nailed it. Nailed it in one.
I'm aware of that the going Mary is a ship that they eventually get. So
yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. I guess his blood is used to bless it or something. Because I'm gonna assume he just he bleeds out and dies. I'm just gonna make that assumption. No, it's a kid's thing. It won't happen like that. He'll be fine. He'll be fine.
Fine. We only crush people's hopes and dreams in this show. There's only murder every once in a while.
So I feel like now that we've gotten, like, a big thing for me was not really understanding the setting of One Piece yet. I feel like it took a while for it to really establish like what the world is, but now that we know that this is straight up a water world, it is not this is not supposed to be like some alternate Earth or something. This is very much like a different place with different rules. I think it makes a bit more sense. Now that we have also like an idea of what the world looks like, it's easier to think of, okay, this is why this is why things work the way they work. Because, okay, most things are disparate islands. There's really only one small landmass. I mean, it's one large landmass.
Yeah.
The islands can be pretty big, but it's still mainly islands with a town or two on them.
Yeah.
And that's most of this world, and that there are just different shipping lanes and dangerous areas.
Pretty much that. Yeah. Like That's the world of One Piece. You're slowly piecing it together as we all did as we started this journey ourselves.
Yeah. So whenever I watched this arc, it didn't really leave like that positive impression on me when I first watched it, but also the pacing was so slow.
Awful. Yeah. Pacing in One Piece anime is hit or miss, and it's more often a miss.
Yeah, and just I think those focused way too much on focusing on Usopp's lies, and the scenes where Usopp's lying when it's just like a panel or two. Fine, we got a sense of his character, and it was better than when we got the twist later for there's some things I won't lie about.
What you should do, and I'm going to let you know this now, just keep in mind of all the lies Usopp has said and will say. Just keep them in mind.
Oh, okay.
I just want to yeah, that's just for you because it's a cool little thing to just watch that stuff, because we've already seen a hint of Usopp's whole thing in this arc. Oda teases it so early on, and only rereading this like now while thinking, like while you were doing this whole thing, where I'm like, oh, Oda, you fucker, you. Granted, I'm pretty sure he didn't think this far ahead, because we all know he doesn't. But I'm just like, oh. But we'll see. You'll see when we get.
I guess when we get to that, we'll revisit that
way further in. When we get, it's gonna be so far till like we see like some of those things clicking. Oh man.
I mean, I guess one thing is that with his lies, he slowly has been shrinking them. When he first meets Luffy and Nami and Zolo, he goes, "Oh, I've got like 10 million men," and then like he's been shrinking the number of men that he's lying about over time. So like when he sees the Black Cat pirates, it's a smaller number. Maybe it's just more like his character transformation there.
Yeah. We get to see the hint. You've already caught it. You figured it out.
Okay.
But also keep in mind his lies though. Still.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I found him less like it's like I said when he first showed up. I'm like, okay, he's a liar and he appears insufferable. He doesn't appear as he wasn't actually as insufferable to read as he was to listen to in the anime. So I wonder if it's because like it's a panel or two for all that stuff, and then pretty quickly you get the punchline. So like the comedic timing for his lies, I guess, just works better.
Yeah, the pacing is definitely a lot better, and just in general.
Well, it's not really so much pacing as it's just like comedic timing.
Yeah, well, it's because like Oda knows how to like lay out a panel, and his panel layouts only get better and better as we go. Because right now, like I'm like, oh wow, this is real simple and stuff, and I'm like, man, Oda really. Well, I mean, granted, he's been doing this for like 20 plus years now.
Well, this is
like,
the beginning, though.
If he hasn't improved over that time, that would be more concerning. But Oda, like, you know, looking back and analyzing this alongside with you, right, as you're talking about it, I'm like, oh man, baby Oda, little baby Oda, to like, you know, what's currently being released. I'm just like, oh fuck, Oda has improved in so many ways, and I can't wait for you to start seeing that, right? Which will be forever down the road.
Yeah, like I've read stuff with better page layouts at this point, but it definitely isn't bad. It's definitely like it's definitely good,
especially for like his
quality.
First work, right? His stuff prior to this were one shots that were One Piece. His One Piece one shots.
A lot of stuff is. So very very interesting to be like, okay, there's a fight coming, and considering how both Kuro and Kaya. Actually, the way they walked away from the mansion was very similar to like the framing of the mansion in the top right, and then like walking in full on profile at the bottom left of the panel was very similar. Especially her with her coat, just very just pointing out like the similarity there. But that they're both showing up, and so there's I guess hype there.
Yeah, it's
so we'll see. Again, like my initial expectation going into this was that wasn't going to be a very long fight against Captain Kuro, but it sounds like the Meowbin brothers, Django, Kuro, is actually going to be a little bit longer of a fight. Also, Zolo hasn't really done much this arc. Like, he's shown up, been there, made a comment about Grog, and then faded away.
Well, remember, he slipped down the first beach on slippery oil, and it took him a while. Like, he got to the fight alongside Luffy. Right,
but I just mean the arc in general, it's mainly been Luffy palling around with Usopp.
Yeah.
And Nami's been around with the kids. Zolo's been basically drinking grog in the inn most of it.
Yeah, he's been sleeping, and you know, he does what Zoro does. Like, we know what Zoro's all about. Wanting to be the best swordsman, and also napping.
Yeah, lot of napping. So, well, it seems like there's going to be more Zolo actually getting some of his spotlight in the coming chapters for this arc. Mm-hmm. So that'll be nice. Assuming that he does. I'm curious to see it because since this was better than what my experience with the anime was, I'm curious to see if the ending of it is enough to make me actually care about this arc. Because I think it was just not really caring about this arc, and then not really caring that much about
Barati,
like the pacing on Sanji's arc, Barati being really slow in the beginning with the anime at least. That just I kept bouncing off because it was you're already like 20 something episodes in by that point, and considering that's basically the number of chapters in.
Yeah. Barati, like, because like Syrup Village is like 9 episodes in the anime. Barati's like 11, but the chapters are like double that length. But yet the one chapters are way faster to read. But two, like the pacing in the anime, like there's like an entire like episode in like both of these where it's just nothing happens. Like a lot of standing and talking happens, but like nothing progresses. Where in the manga, right, like that talking is like a panel or two, and then shit goes on. Yeah, you know, and the anime is like, we're going to stretch these 2 panels out a bit. Maybe have characters say other things.
And that's kind of where I think Usopp's insufferableness in the anime came from.
Yeah.
So that's where it's been nice to actually read it instead of go along. So the deal still stands. I'll make a judgment about how I feel about One Piece once we finish whatever the hell Arlong Park is.
Yeah. Well, once we get to the end of Arlong Park is when either you will be like, this is okay, or you still kind of feel the same. You're like, I'll still read it, it's pretty good, or you'll be like, this is fucking great. I need to read more.
So I guess whenever we get to whatever island Arlong Park, the island of Arlong Park, that'll be interesting. Again, I have no clue what at all happened. What that is even. I find it very interesting. I've been able to go this long without understanding it. And when I've mentioned to other people that we're doing this, they're like, "Oh man, I can't wait till you get to Arlong Park." And I'm like, "Wait, don't tell me. I literally have no idea." It's like
literally don't. You see, everyone is like whoever says Arlong Park is a bad arc is lying to themselves and to everyone else. They're just mad because Arlong Park is a really good arc. It's really good.
You're building up all this hype for me.
It's pretty hype. Like it's worth the hype I keep giving it to you because it's legitimately my favorite arc out of the dozens of arcs and sagas that is currently in One Piece. Arlong Park remains the one that constantly makes me cry.
So both you and other people have told me that if you like Arlong Park, you will like One Piece, and if you don't like Arlong Park, One Piece is not for you.
Yeah, so that's pretty much it, right? It's however much you like Arlong Park is pretty much how much you'll enjoy going through One Piece.
It's still, I guess, kind of we're 4 episodes into this. I know episode 1 was only one chapter, but it's also very interesting how long it takes for it to get to that watershed moment, I guess. But then again, you look at some other series, and it's similar. Other series, it takes a while to get to. I guess they're defining what's almost the real starting point. It's interesting how many series, especially shonen, take a while to get there. You have all these like establishment chapters and establishment arcs that like they have impact, but they're not like they're not what defines it as a series early on. Like Syrup Island and Orange Town, I would hope aren't like what define One Piece, but they're also the early arcs.
Yeah, and Orange Town compared to Syrup Village currently are different in how they're handling introducing characters, right? Like Syrup Village feels a little bit more a little dark, but also a little bit more whimsical with the whole parallel to The Boy Who Cried Wolf and stuff. But like we see Usopp in this, like whenever those kids come up and they're like, "Are we going to fight those pirates?" And Usopp, actually lies to them, saying like, I was lying. Clawdor is not a pirate. I was just really mad at him." Those kids walking away like, "Oh, I can't believe Usopp." Like they finally get so disappointed in Usopp that they're like, "I'll abandon Usopp. What a shitty person."
That's actually a scene we forgot to highlight.
That's what I'm highlighting
Usopp,
it now.
Yeah. Thank you for catching that. Is when no one believes Usopp, as they typically do about Clawdor, he makes the decision that they're going to fight Clawdor or Captain Kuro because that way it'll make it true that that what he said was a lie for the townspeople. So that's an interesting take on his character. And like insight into how he thinks is that, yeah, I'll be the liar and I'll do what it takes to make people think that everything that my warnings are a lie because I'll stop it before it happens.
Yeah, like such a good guy.
Good guy, Usopp.
Good guy.
So we
Usopp.
have going forward. What is the next assignment?
The next assignment, you're going to read the rest of Syrup Village, which is 32 to 41.
All right, so that'll be 9. That'll be what, like 9-10 chapters, a little bit shorter than I think this one. We're about the same length, actually.
Yeah, it'll be the same length.
Yeah,
2 to 1. So yeah,
2 to 1. Yeah, so same length, and we'll see what the conclusion is of that. How do we end this?
I mean, we can't set sail. We're currently in a fight, so pick up your sword and let's get going.
I want whatever that like infinite ammo pistol the Guardian of the Forest had, Because after all those years, where is he getting more ammo?
Well, thank you all for setting sail with us into the world of One Piece. If you like to keep up to date on releases and what the current chapter assignments are, be sure to follow us on Twitter at SailingAllBlue. And we'd like to give special thanks to my good friend Birdie for composing our wonderful, amazing intro. To check out more of Birdie's amazing music, be sure to follow them on Twitter at HeyIt'sBirdie and check out their works on Spotify. I'm a big fan of the album VIMP. Links to every